Natasha Asghar.
Deputy Presiding Officer, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to make my maiden speech in this Parliament on the subject of bus services in Wales, and I'd like to thank my colleague for raising this and tabling this as an issue. Now, it's without a doubt that this is an issue of great concern to people all across Wales, and this is clearly demonstrated by the support for this motion by members from every political group represented here today. Improving bus services makes good sense. Economically, by improving accessibility to good and services as well. It also makes good sense socially by allowing people to live fuller and more satisfying lives. However, it is a fact, and I know we all like facts here, that passenger numbers have been in decline in recent time. There are undoubtedly a number of reasons for this. Firstly, an increase in private car use. Secondly, congestion, which naturally increases journey times, making services less predictable. Thirdly, a decline in financial support for the sector, making many routes uneconomical. In rural areas, more dispersed, lower density populations make it challenging to deliver widespread timetable services run by traditional buses. Services often take long and indirect routes to serve as many people as possible, but they become an unattractive alternative for passengers who have access to a car. This is made more challenging by the impact of COVID-19 on the bus sector. The Bus Services Emergency Grant provided by the Welsh Government during the pandemic has provided the essential services for people who have needed to keep using public transport, including key workers. But the lasting impact on bus use remains unknown, with passengers' numbers expected to fall even more so than they have already. So the question is, how do we reverse this decline? Firstly, we need to invest in bus services. I've already mentioned Bus Service Emergency Grant, but before the pandemic, the Welsh Government's direct support for the bus network was largely focused on the Bus Services Support Grant. 6 years ago, Wales replaced a Bus Services Operating Grant with the Bus Services Support Grant, with funding set at £25 million. It's shocking, therefore, that this fixed pot of £25 million has not changed since BSSG inception. Funding per passenger for bus services is inadequate and compares poorly with that provided for rail passengers. The Deputy Minister may point to the various concessionary fare schemes that exist, but these are a subsidy enjoyed by the passenger and are not a substitute for poorly funded bus services. Secondly, we must encourage cleaner, greener buses. In Scotland, the Scottish Government Bus Service Operators Grant comprised a core payment and an incentive for the operation of green, economically friendly buses. The core payment aims to support operators to keep fares at affordable levels and networks more extensive than would otherwise be the case, and the green incentive helps with the additional running of costs of low-emission buses to support their uptake by operators. The Welsh Government must provide incentives to bus companies in Wales to decarbonise their vehicle stock. Congestion remains a major disincentive from people using buses, and this can only be exacerbated by the Welsh Government's implementation of a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit in residential areas. We clearly need a programme of bus priority measures, such as effective and efficient bus lanes, priority traffic lights and improved bus shelters to encourage people out of their cars and back on buses. Because as it stands, I'm yet to meet someone who feels that the bus system here in Wales are actually worth sacrificing their cars for. Lastly, we need to make it easier for people to travel across Wales using one bus company to another by introducing an all-Wales travel card. I was delighted when my suggestion for such a positive response came from the First Minister a few weeks ago. Deputy Presiding Officer, I support this motion and sincerely look forward to working with everyone here to deliver a better bus service for everyone in Wales. Thank you very much.
Luke Fletcher.